Welcome to Retirement U TV. My name is Cynthia DeFazio. I'm joined today by Brian Quaranta. He is president and founder of Secure Money Advisors. Brian, it's great to see you.
It's good to see you. Good
How
to see
are you doing today?
I'm doing great. It was a great week.
It was a great week. I know, because you've been so busy. Obviously, you still have the radio show going on,
Yep.
and then you added in television as well. So you have been just booking one consultation after the next.
Yeah, we have.
How are you managing it all? And does your wife ever get a chance to see you?
Well, you know, I have a really great team of people. That's really what it comes down to. I mean, Secure Money Advisors is just, you know, packed to the gills with really smart, talented people. And so I feel very blessed to have that support because
Sure.
they do make me look really good. So, you know, I give a lot of credit to my team.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about your passion for helping others, just in case someone is watching for the very first time today, Brian, and they haven't met you before. Where does that passion and that drive come from?
Well, it really came, you know, at an early age. I mean, I didn't grow up with a silver spoon in my mouth. I mean, my mom and dad worked really hard for their money. I remember my dad always talking about his stockbroker. I grew up in New Jersey, so we were close to New York City.
Okay.
I remember him always talking about his stockbroker, and every time I think we talked about money, my dad was losing money.
Oh,
and I'm like, this whole investing thing doesn't sound real good, Dad.
Yeah, it sounds scary.
Yeah, it sounds scary. So when I actually graduated college, I was down here at Robert Morris University, and when I graduated, I got right into the stock business at the end of 1999, right when the tech bubble bursted. And I went to work for a big firm right away and got licensed. I was so excited about it to start helping people. But when you work at a big firm, they kind of want you to take baby steps, right? So they call you a junior advisor, which is really just kind of a fancy name for, hey, kid, can you go make some copies? Hey, kid, can you get me a cup of coffee? Can you come in this meeting and take notes?
Yeah.
But, you know, I would hear conversations in the conference room with advisors and their clients, and they would be talking about, you know, how to minimize their risk and how to allocate their portfolio, how to prevent big losses and things along these lines. And then I saw 2000, 2001, 2002 roll around, and all these people that were promised to have these portfolios that were allocated against risk actually wound up losing a lot of money. And I thought to myself, well, how does that even happen? And matter of fact, I hear these stories still to this day because, you know, you take February, March of 2020.
Sure.
And, you know, people were calling the office and said, look, I've got my money with this person. I lost a ton of money.
Yeah.
We weren't supposed to. We were supposed to be in a safe account. And so I remember, you know, taking phone calls back in 2000 when I was working at the firm, and, you know, of course, people were not happy with the amount of money they lost, and they were scared, and they wanted to get out.
Sure.
And I remember I was taking phone calls, because what happens when the markets get really bad at the big firms, the junior advisors take the phone calls, and the financial advisors hide under their desk, right?
Oh boy, yeah.
So I actually took a phone call from a guy that was pretty upset that he had lost some money. Sure. I didn't know what to tell him.
Yeah.
You know, I'm 1-2 years in the business at this point. I don't know what to tell the guy.
Right.
I thought we were going to make changes, but I find out, you know, when I go to the financial advisor's office, I said, listen, you got a guy on the phone. He wants to get out of the market. He says, listen, you need to get back on the phone and let him know that it's just a paper loss. How many of you heard that before?
Wow.
It's just a paper loss. Or he said, also remind him to not worry about anything, to just hang in there, that you're in it for the long haul. How many of you heard that cookie cutter phrase before? Don't worry about it, hang in there, you're in it for the long haul. And so, being 1 to 2 years in the business, I decided to be a good employee and go back to that individual and tell him exactly what the financial advisor told me to tell him. And that was, Sam, don't worry about it, hang in there, you're in it for the long haul. And what he said to me next, Cynthia, is the reason why I'm so passionate about what I do today.
Okay.
He said, Brian, I'm 70 years old. How much darn long haul do you think I got left?
Wow.
And he was 100% right.
Absolutely.
He was 100% right, because the reality is, we know if the markets go down, that they should recover.
Sure.
The question is, how long is it going to take the markets to recover?
Absolutely.
And is it going to recover in the time period you need it to recover in?
Absolutely.
And so we should be thinking about, how do we build a bulletproof retirement? How do we build a bulletproof retirement that can mitigate that risk, that puts us in a position that if the markets are volatile, that we're not in a position to where we could run out of money in retirement?
Absolutely.
And so I was just not seeing things done the right way at the big firms, and I didn't want to be part of a culture that was talking about things like, don't worry about it, hang in there, it's just a paper loss.
Absolutely.
So Secure Money Advisors really came out of the passion of, let's give people really good advice. Let's turn them on to products and systems and ideas that can generate good cash flow, that can maximize their returns, minimize their losses, that can save them on taxation, not only now, but later on down the road. And I'm talking about tax planning, not tax preparation, right?
Absolutely.
Which is completely different.
Absolutely.
How do we take care of their health care needs? You know, if they want to retire before the age of 65, how do we do that? And then how do we keep Uncle Sam from becoming their largest beneficiary at death?
Absolutely.
And so those 5 key areas are what make up a really great retirement plan, and that really determines whether or not you're on the right track.
Absolutely. So Brian, you basically took the ball and you ran with it, and you developed a process to help people by being an independent licensed fiduciary, if you will.
Yeah.
So you're not locked into, let's just say, a big box firm, because a lot of times, we've talked about this before, that people in the big box firms, they can be trying to sell products that they are perhaps gaining a commission on, if you will. I don't know how else to say that. But by being a licensed fiduciary, you're able to look at that person's individual plan for retirement and actually pick and choose the best products for them.
Absolutely. We're not beholden to any company, which is great, because our job is to provide a plan. And you know, and the way that we get paid is we're a fee-based firm. So if our clients do well, we do well.
Sure.
If our clients don't do well, we don't do well. So we all have a vested interest in these things going in the right direction, where if you're working at a big box firm and you're not working with a fiduciary, you're working with a broker, when you buy an investment product, you might pay a commission. And that individual gets paid one-time commission. They never get paid again. So this is why a lot of times we hear from people, they'll say, well, you know, we went in, we talked to this person, we had a really good conversation, but we haven't heard from them in years. And that's because there's no vested interest. They made all their money up front. There's no vested interest in making sure that that plan continues to work. Whereas secure money advisors, if I onboard somebody as a client, we have to earn our money over time. And so it's very important for us to do a good job, because we want you staying with us for a long time. We don't want you going anywhere. As a matter of fact, ideal situation is not only do we take care of you, but we take care of your kids, we take care of your grandkids, right?
Absolutely.
So that's very, very important. And working with a fiduciary, I'm glad you brought that up, because it's so important that you work with somebody that is required by law to do what's in your best interest. That's required by law to provide you advice based around a plan, not a financial product.
Absolutely. And I love the fact that you're giving the same advice that you would give to your loved ones. You have that level of care and compassion for your clients.
My father is a client. My mother is a client. My in-laws are clients. I'm a client.
See, there you go. Nothing else needs to be said.
I preach what I practice, you know, and I own what I preach, because it works. It works. And, you know, you're talking about 21 years I've been in the business now. I've seen the good, bad, and the ugly.
Absolutely.
I know what works. I know what doesn't work. You know, I want the best of the best for my family, but I want the best of the best for my clients. I mean, look, when you onboard a client, you're taking on a lot of responsibility, right? The last thing I want to do is sit down with a client and have an uncomfortable conversation of why things are not working.
Exactly.
Right? So I'm going to do my very best based around what we have available to us in this country to put our money into, right? I'm going to look for the very best for myself.
Sure.
I want the very best for my money. But what I want for my money is the same thing you want for your money. You want good returns.
Absolutely.
You don't want to lose a ton of money when the market goes down. You want things to be tax efficient. You want to be able to generate income without the worry of running out of money. These are all needs that we all have.
Absolutely.
Right? And I don't have a box firm telling me that you have to sell XYZ product.
Yeah.
Right? I'm sitting down with the client and saying, tell me what your concerns are, and let's see how we can address them based on all of the strategies and tools that are available in financial planning today.
Absolutely. Well, Brian, we're about ready to open up the phone lines for the very first time to the viewers at home this week. Do you want to tell them what they can expect to receive?
Yes, folks. As a matter of fact, we're going to be talking about the Right Track Retirement System, right? We're talking about that today. We talk about it on every show right now. Are you on the right track? The number one question I get day after day, week after week, month after month is, we just want to know if we're on the right track. Do you know if you're on the right track? What if you're not? When would you want to know? Now would be a better time than later. So the Right Track Retirement System is going to help you determine these 5 key areas and make sure that you've got every I dotted and every T crossed. And for the next 10 callers who call in right now, we are going to give you a complimentary review of your current situation. It's not very often that you get to sit down with a licensed fiduciary at no cost. We're going to do that for you. Now, you have to do your part, because you can't kick the can down the road. Procrastination and not taking action, that's not not going to solve your problem. And remember, you can't get a second opinion from the person that gave you the first opinion. Wouldn't it be nice to know that if you are working with somebody, that you are in the best place you could be? And if you're not, wouldn't it be nice to know how much better you could be doing? So if you call 1-888-382-1298, that's a complimentary view of your current situation. Again, for the next 10 callers who call 1-888-382-1298.
Brian, thank you so much. To the viewers at home, as Brian mentioned, the phone lines are now open. They're already lighting up. The number to call is 888-382-1298. You deserve to know if you're on the right track for your retirement. Brian can make sure you are. Again, we have to take a very short commercial break, but when we come back, I'm going to have some more questions for Brian. Please stay tuned.
How confident are you in your current financial plan? Do you know with certainty how the recent market volatility will affect your future hopes and dreams? How much are you paying in taxes? And how much are you losing to unnecessary high fees? You didn't work to save this money so that you could spend your time worried in retirement. Now is the time to take charge of your finances so you can feel confident about your future. Call in during the next 30 minutes of today's show only to set up an absolutely complimentary, no obligation, full-blown financial review that will result in your own customized written plan. This is a $999 value that we're giving away complimentary to the first 10 people who respond. We'll start with a full-blown analysis of what you already have by running a report to untangle how much you are currently paying in fees, how you're allocated for risk, and what it's costing to work with your current advisor. Next, we'll identify your goals. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Where do you want to go, and who do you hope to go there with? Is your current financial plan set up to get you there without mishap? Let's design a roadmap to create a financial plan you can follow with confidence. Get the piece that so many people are missing from their retirement. Find out how having a written plan can make a difference to your retirement dreams. Call now to schedule your complimentary, no obligation, full-blown financial review today.
Welcome back to Retirement U TV. My name is Cynthia DeFazio. I'm joined today by Brian Quaranta. He is president and founder of Secure Money Advisors. Brian, a great show we're having today,
Yes.
and obviously talking about the importance of planning properly for retirement, making sure that you're on the right track, if you will. On that same vein, let me ask you a question. If someone in the viewing audience today is thinking about retiring, how does someone know that they're ready to retire? What kinds of questions should they be asking themselves?
Well, first off, what I've learned in 21 years of planning is that you know if you're ready to retire.
Okay.
And I think what it comes down to is people are, just get to a point to where they can no longer do their work. They don't want to do their work anymore. And it could be either a physical job. I've got contractors and iron workers and welders that physically can't do the work anymore, just physically can't.
Sure.
But for those corporate individuals, they get to a point to where they're just burnt out on what they're doing.
Yeah.
And I think the first question you have to ask yourself is, if you do retire, what are you going to do with your time?
Yeah.
What are you going to do with your time? Because that plays a very important role. The people that I see are the happiest in retirement know what they're going to be doing with their time. It could be something as simple as just taking care of the grandkids.
Sure.
I can't tell you how many corporate executives I have, or even welders and big strong guys that just melt over the fact that they get to watch their grandkids.
Oh,
right?
I love that. That is so awesome.
They can't wait.
Yeah.
Here they are. Managing a business of 1,000 people. And everybody looks to them for answers.
Yeah.
And the next day they're babysitting their kids and their grandkids, and they're as happy as can be. So
Yep.
what are you going to do with your time? I think that's very, very important. How are you going to fill that time up? Because believe me, the honey-do list, that's only going to last so long.
Sure.
And I've seen some guys struggle in retirement. I've
sure.
seen some people struggle in retirement. My dad struggled in retirement. He's retired 3 times. He retires, he gets bored, he goes back. He retires, he gets bored, he goes back. But my dad loves work.
Yeah,
He's kind of a workaholic. To me too. I enjoy my work. It's not work to me. I do have a lot of fun doing it. Believe me, no matter what you do, There's days you wake up and you don't want to do it that day, but that's because you do something every day. I mean, I always say Ben Roethlisberger can't wake up and say, I can't wait to throw the football today. I'm sure there's days he goes, I just wish I could be home with my kids, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm sure Tiger Woods says sometimes, I just don't feel like hitting the golf ball today. But knowing what you're going to do at that time is very important.
Absolutely. So again, retire with a purpose in mind. So Brian, with that being said, what happens when one spouse retires but the other one is still working? How does that change the dynamic in the home?
Good question. It depends who retires first.
Okay, okay.
It depends who retires first. We've seen all kinds of different dynamics, So, a lot of times that works well. Like if I just retired a spouse, a wife, right? And the husband's going to continue to work, right? And it works really well because they have some side businesses that they've started and she's focusing on those a little bit and she's also watching the grandkids, so it works out well. But a lot of times it can play the role of a nice slow transition to retirement because you still have one income coming in while we transition to this new retirement income of Social Security and income from investments. And so it's not happening all at once, right?
Yeah.
Although, I've also seen situations where, the wife has been a homemaker all of her life and all of a sudden the husband retires. And I remember one year we had a couple come in. They're still great clients of ours. And I said, I thought maybe they had only been married for a year or two. Because, they were just so loving in the conference room. And I asked them, I said, how many years you guys been married? They said 40. I was like, oh my gosh, It's amazing. You would have thought they'd only been married for a year. And every time they would come in, they were really loving and very flirty with each other. And I always would think, wow, 40 years. That's
incredible.
Tell me what the secret is. And then we retired them, and 6 months later they come in and they didn't even talk to each other.
No. Oh,
and
no.
I knew something was wrong right away. And you know what it was? She had her routine every day.
Oh my goodness.
And all of a sudden, he was in that routine. And that was, but they've managed to work it out, obviously. So, you see all kinds of different dynamics with things, on a personal end like that.
Sure,
right? But
sure.
Financially, it can, if one spouse decides to keep working and one spouse retires, it's a nice way to kind of bridge that gap until the next one does retire.
Absolutely. And then do you also recommend having a new spending plan in place if one spouse retires and the other is still working? Do they have to reevaluate their finances?
It's important to.
Okay.
Budget's a dirty word in our office.
I know, I use spending plan. I like it better.
I know. Budget is a dirty word. Spending plan's a dirty word to us because, look, I don't think you work 30, 40 years of your life to all of a sudden be on a plan, right? A spending plan, right? Most people that retire want to do what they want, when they want to do it, and do the things they want to do, right? And we want to build a plan that's going to give you the flexibility to go in and buy what you want to buy when you want to buy it, or take the trip when you want to take the trip. And that's the importance of building a good, solid retirement plan. You've worked all this time to finally get your freedom. And then all of a sudden, you have this budget in place and you really don't have the freedom because you go, well, I've got all the time in the world, I can't do anything because I got to stick to this budget.
Yeah.
So we want to build a plan that maximizes the cash flow so you can go do all the things that you promised yourself you were going to do when you retired.
Perfect.
Like travel the world and all those kinds of things, right? So.
Absolutely. Well, Brian, this is the perfect time for us to reopen up the phone lines to the viewers at home. Do you want to tell them what they can expect to receive?
Yeah, folks, we're talking about being on the right track today, right? The Right Track retirement system is going to help you determine that, and that's what you're going to get when you come in. We're going to walk you through a 5-step process that's going to hit on 5 key areas: income, investments, taxes, healthcare, and of course legacy planning. And when we go through these 5 key areas with you, you are going to have a tremendous amount of clarity. And I think that's the most important thing that you're going to get when you walk through this process with us is clarity. Remember, a clear mind is a certain mind. It's a peaceful mind. So for the next 10 callers who call in right now, if you call 1-888-382-1298, again, that's 1-888-382-1298, you got to do your part. Call in, schedule an appointment. You're going to come in, sit down with us for 45 minutes to an hour, and we're going to go through the Right Track retirement system with you. And so during that period of time, when that hour is up, you're going to have a clear understanding of where you are and where you need to go and what things look like. And most importantly, if you are in the right place, you're going to get confirmation that you are. Remember, you can't get a second opinion from the person that gave you the first opinion. So take advantage of this. It's not very often that you get to sit down with a licensed fiduciary at no cost. Take advantage of the offer today. Again, you got to do your part for the next 10 callers. That's 1-888-382-1298.
Brian, thank you so much to the viewers at home. Once again, the phone lines are now open. That number to call is 888-382-1298. You deserve the right to know if you're on the right track of retirement. So please give us a call. Brian will help decide if you are or if you're not. And if you're not, he can put you on the right track. Again, 888-382-1298. We'll be right back after this very short commercial break.
As a good saver, you've been putting away money during your working years. Studies find that the biggest fear of retirees is running out of money. Market volatility isn't just the downward movement of stock prices, it's the size and frequency of change. The more dramatic the ups and downs, the higher the volatility. This can put savers who are newly retired or a few years away from being retired at greater risk. Today's generation of retirees is not receiving traditional pensions as our parents or grandparents did. Instead, we have retirement accounts such as 401ks or 403bs. These accounts typically expose your money to market risk. The last thing you want right before retirement is to lose a portion of the money you need for income. But how do you turn these accounts into a retirement income? Is it safe to keep all your retirement money sitting in the stock market? The last thing you want is to lose a portion of the money you need for income due to market loss. By working with a financial professional, you can learn how to turn a portion of your savings into an income stream for life and income for the life of your spouse if you're married. We all have moments in our lives when we wish we had taken action sooner. Don't let procrastination reign on your retirement parade. Act now before it's too late. Please call our office to set up your no-cost, no-obligation retirement income review today.
Welcome back to Retirement UTV. My name is Cynthia DeFazio. I'm joined today by Brian Quaranta. He is president and founder of Secure Money Advisors. Brian, a great show that we're having today. Obviously talking about the importance of planning properly for retirement and are you on the right track?
Are you on the right track?
That's the most important thing.
The most important thing.
And the fact that I'm getting your name right today. That's the other.
Yeah, that's the other important thing.
That's the other important thing of all.
Yeah, but I sometimes wonder, if you're not on the right track, when would you want to know that?
Immediately.
Immediately, yeah,
absolutely.
And so it's just a great opportunity for you to come in and sit down with our team and really find out. I mean, and how comforting it would be for you to find out if you are on the right track.
Sure, absolutely. And that brings up a very good question, Brian. If someone is in the viewing audience today and they're currently working with an advisor, how do they know that's the right advisor for them? What questions should they be asking that person?
Yeah, well, I think a lot of people know if they're with the right person. I think there's an emotional sense that people get when they know they're with the right person. Now, what I find a lot of times is people have that gut feeling. Every time they talk to that person, they hang up the phone, they're like, something just doesn't line up or feel right. Like, I don't really get the answers that I need. Every time I ask a question, I feel that they're talking over my head.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you how many times people have said that to me before, but I think you also have to look at the process that's been laid out to get you to where you need to go. So for example, what does that individual's communication plan look like with you each year?
Great question.
How are they communicating with you? Are you getting enough touch points throughout the course of the year for your service that you're paying for? Do you actually have a real written plan?
Yeah.
Right? Do we have a written plan that's been typed out, that's in a binder, that you can touch, that you can feel, that you can put on a shelf, that if something happens, all your loved one has to do is grab that plan and everything's in there, right? Do you have a way to organize that? Has that been given to you? So, and do you feel that they're helping solve the problems together, or do you feel like you're always being sold something, right? Do you, and I think those things, if you can honestly assess that situation based on what I shared, I think you can really determine whether or not you got the right people working for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
In your opinion, Brian, we mentioned this obviously in the other segment that we were on together, but how important is it to get a second opinion from a fresh set of eyes?
Well, you can't get a second opinion from the person that gave you the first opinion.
Right, that would be kind of pointless.
That would be kind of pointless.
It's like, hey, what do you think today?
Yeah, right, exactly. So I think it's always important, to get a second opinion. I mean, I would do it many times in my life. I've done it many times as the business has grown with accountants.
Sure.
I've outgrown accounting firms many times. Attorneys that I've worked with, for my own personal dealings, and I've outgrown because one, I get better at asking questions, right, that I need. It's very, very important.
Okay. Is it ever too late to get started on a retirement plan, Brian?
Never too late.
Okay.
Never, ever too late. I mean, it's amazing what you can do in a very, very short period of time. I mean, we have taken people from literally having very little in savings and putting together a plan, and within 6 to 7 years, having them in a place to where they're very confident about retirement. And you can even do that in your later years. I mean, there's many people that might have been taking care of kids and grandkids and had lots of expenses going out the door. Maybe they went through a divorce, whatever it might be. And they're very behind, and they're in their 60s, and they're going, am I ever going to be able to retire? There's some really neat things you can do to accelerate your accumulation of your wealth, especially when you start to reach the Social Security age.
Sure.
So it's never too late to start planning, ever.
Okay. And Brian, we only have about 1 minute and 45 seconds left, somewhere around there.
Yep.
What piece of advice can you give the viewing audience today as they're entering into 2021?
Well, most importantly is evaluate your current investments, because what we're seeing right now is that there is a huge shift on consumer behavior and how this world is going to start to operate, because a lot of our giants, our industry giants like energy sectors, financials, airlines, the way we communicate as a country has changed, and I think it's probably permanently changed. We're already seeing businesses do business differently. The work from home movement that has slowly been moving in this direction has all of a sudden just got there because of COVID. So evaluate where you are, because a lot of the companies that we used to buy, that were big companies that we knew we could rely on, that's changing. The tech world is where things are at right now. So evaluating where you currently are, and that's what the Right Track retirement system is going to do for you. We're going to do that deep dive with you. We're going to do that analysis. We're going to be able to determine where you are and where you need to go, and we're going to be able to identify those red flags. But you've got to do your side. You got to call 1-888-382-1298, and that's a complimentary, no-cost consultation with us to determine if you're on the right track.
Brian, thank you so much for another amazing show this week. I can't wait to see you again next week. To the viewers at home, thank you so much for spending time with us this week. We know you have a lot of questions about how to retire with confidence. Brian has the answers for you. Thank you again for watching. Be safe, be happy, be blessed, and we will see you soon.